Hi everyone, it's Nikki here and welcome to another video. This one's a little bit different. Finally figured out how to do a voiceover on videos, so I thought while we do a little paint with me, why don't I have a little chat with you guys? We can talk about what I'm doing basically, and yeah, I hope you like it. If you hate the sound of my voice and you think everything I'm saying is a load of rubbish, then feel free to mute this and play your own music, podcast, whatever. And if you hate looking at my drawings, feel free to just have this on as a type of podcast, I suppose. So this video is just a pretty simple, I say simple, it's not that simple, a kind of simple spread in my sketchbook that I basically just wanted to experiment with not only painting some adorable dormice, because who doesn't love a good dormouse, but also I wanted to experiment with typography. Some of you who may have seen my 2021 goals video will already know that hand lettering and typography was something that I really wanted to work on this year. And you know, we might be already in March and I'm now just getting round to it. But you know, there's no time like the present, and better late than never, and all those disgusting platitudes that I can't believe I just said. I think the main reason why I've kind of stayed away from hand lettering and typography is not only because I'm not very good at it, but also because I never really know what to say. Like, it's all well and good having a typeface or a lettering style, but then actually the words I find quite difficult. Even in my day job, if I ever have to do copywriting or text of any kind that I'm not given, it honestly, I get such stage fright with it, and if anyone tries to read out anything that I've written out loud, I get the most extreme anxiety about it. So yeah, that's probably why I've stayed away from it. But I really wanted to push myself out of my comfort zone and really actually get into doing this thing that I wanted to do. So what I decided to do was basically just write some words that came to my head when I saw these images of these dormice that I was painting. So I've written things like cutie, pie, sweetie, baby. Me and my boyfriend have this thing where if we see an animal and we think it's really, really cute, it's baby. So if we see a squirrel out when we're on a walk, it's like, is that baby? Yes, it's baby, and that means it's cute. So I wrote the word baby because in my world, if anything is cute, it is automatically a baby. And then just other words that, I don't know, they're kind of, this is the thing, it's kind of random, so it's kind of hard to justify, but obviously spring, because it's springtime right now. I wrote nice little mice because I thought that was a cute little rhyme. I don't know, it might be a little bit lame, but hey ho, it helped. The actual style of the lettering itself, I've been watching a lot of Cheyenne Barton's videos at the minute, and her typography style is kind of similar to this, so I definitely took inspiration from her, but I tried to put my own spin on it, and I tried to make it a little bit more akin to my handwriting. I'm one of those people that pretty much exclusively writes in capital letters, but I join them up. It's the weirdest thing. If you ever see my handwriting, it is in capital letters, but it is almost cursive. It's very strange. So, and I've seen a lot of other artists doing quite a similar lettering style to this, so I think this style is quite, not trendy, but it's popular at the minute, so I kind of wanted to take that and just put my own spin on it, because I'm only experimenting at the minute. This isn't necessarily the lettering style that I'm going to use forever going forward, but it's just a nice place to start because it's fairly familiar. Another thing that I really wanted to work on sort of moving forward is simplifying shapes. So not necessarily cartoonizing everything I draw, but rather than drawing these quite realistic things that I've sort of been doing in the past, I really wanted to focus on simplifying lines, stylizing lines, really getting sort of shapes and movement rather than just being like, okay, this is what this animal looks like. So you'll notice with these dormice is that they are quite, not cartoonized, I really don't want to say that, but their faces are kind of simplified and their shapes are kind of simplified, which is something that I want to do more of moving forward, because I find at the minute I'm kind of just finding reference images and copying them basically, and that's not where I want to be with my artwork. I really want it to have more of my own distinct style. So that was another thing that I was working on here. I definitely want to look more into like the practical aspects of my work as well, in terms of like selling it, which sounds really bad, but I just don't want to be making arbitrary prints of things that I've drawn, like, because that's all well and good, but I'd really like to, and I think this is where the hand lettering comes into it, I'd really like to think more about different applications for products for my artwork. So I really want to get into not only different types of stickers, maybe stickers with lettering, but also maybe printable calendars, planner type things. It's just a lot of stuff that I've kind of seen around and been like, I really want to try that out. And at the minute I'm trying to figure out how my artwork and how my style can sort of fit into that world. I don't want it to sound like I'm kind of like forcing my artwork into it, but just exploring if it's possible, more or less, if that makes sense. I've also been thinking recently about how I can bring my veganism into my artwork more, not in like a preachy way, but like, I'm not the only vegan in the world and I would like my art to be relatable in some way. So the typography element is also, I'm wondering if maybe I can bring veganism into it somehow with like little phrases. So previously to this, I did a bumblebee spread, and one of the little things I wrote was "leave my honey alone," because obviously vegans, we don't eat honey. And another thing that I've been sort of exploring in the past, but not through typography, is the idea of friends not food. So if you've seen my prints of like cows and pigs wearing flower crowns in my shop, that's originally where that came from. It came from the phrase friends not food. But again, I don't want to sound like I'm preaching, it's just something that I'm thinking about, because I think as an artist it can be important to have something to say, and environmentalism and animal rights and conservationalism, is that a word? Conservationism, I do not think is a word. Conservationism are all things that are important to me and are not really things that I feel like I'm doing anything with in my artwork explicitly. So that's also something that I really want to experiment in the future, because I'm sort of increasingly looking at things that happen in the world and feeling like I want to scream and do something about it. And you know, you start thinking, well, what can I do about this? What tools do I have? What soapbox do I have to climb on to maybe make some kind of change in the world? And my artwork, I guess, is my soapbox. So I think I would like to start using it a bit more for good, rather than just to be like, here's a pretty picture. It might be nice to have a pretty picture that actually has some kind of substance behind it. I also initially started this sketchbook spread, which the actual sketch that you saw at the beginning, the yellow pencil sketch, I did like a week or two ago. I started it because I really wanted to test out the new coloured pencils and fine liner brushes that I bought, because I bought a whole bunch of sort of new, I say new colours, I bought blue. I don't use blue that much, but I bought a blue too. In fact, I bought 2 blue pencils, and I drew this spread and I was like, right, I'm going to use my new fine liner brushes and I'm going to use my new blue pencils and I'm going to do something blue on this page. And in the end, I looked at it and went, do you know what? You can't beat the old formula. So I did actually end up using my new pencils. There was a new pink and a new green, and this magenta that I'm using to do the lines, they were new. So I did use some new things. This colour palette, actually, the yellow, green, pink combo, I haven't really used properly in quite a while. If you saw my last sketchbook tour, almost that entire sketchbook was done in that colour palette, and that's a colour palette that's been really popular for me. Like, people have really enjoyed it, and I ended up getting bored of it and wanting to try something new. So I went to the red and yellow one that I've been using recently, and when I actually went to paint this page for this video, I was like, do you know what? I'm going to stick in my comfort zone because I'm already experimenting, so I don't want to add any more newness to that, if that makes sense. Because I think, you know, when you are experimenting, you are developing your style and you are trying new things, it is important to keep, in my opinion, I think it's important to keep the amount of new things that you're trying to a minimum, because otherwise it's just going to be too much newness and it's going to be really overwhelming. So you want to keep some things that are a bit more comfortable, I guess. So yeah, so I didn't end up using my new blue pencils, but it's fine. I'm sure they will get used at some point in the future. Oh, I should probably just give out like a little trigger warning for this tiny section, because I have what is fairly mild trypophobia, and when I was drawing these little flowers in this little cluster, it was making me feel a little bit uncomfortable. So if you have trypophobia, maybe don't look for the next 30 seconds. Sorry. I'm sure I'll put this all in the description, but if you are wondering, the sketchbook that I'm using is another really old one that I bought when I was at uni about 10 years ago. I believe it's a Seawhite of Brighton brand, and it's just cartridge paper, so it's a really good mixed media paper. It does buckle if you put too much water on it, but it's great for things like this, where I'm using gouache and coloured pencil at the same time. The gouache that I'm using, I say gouache really weird, so I'm really sorry, but I'm not going to stop. That's just the way I say it. The gouache that I use is in a plastic palette that I actually got from Amazon like 2 years ago. I have 2. I have a warm colour one and a cold colour one. And I just filled that with a mixture of Reeves gouache. I have Winsor and Newton gouache, and I also use a bit of Holbein gouache. But I think I'm going to stop using Holbein because it's so expensive and you just can't scan the colours because they're way too vibrant. But I digress. So I ended up just squeezing those into the pans, leaving them overnight to dry, and hey presto, you have a gouache palette. You tend to not get the nice opacity that you get using them straight out of the tube if you dry them in a palette, but I don't really mind that, and I can just squeeze them out from the tube if I really need that opaqueness, but I usually find that actually I'm quite happy with it. So that's the underpainting, and you'll notice I didn't do any shading for that because I really wanted to do the shading with the coloured pencils, and the coloured pencils that I'm using are just Faber Castell Polychromos. I would love to try Prismacolors, but you cannot get them in England anywhere that I've found. So if you're an English artist or a European artist and you know where to get Prismacolors that isn't in America, because I don't want to import them, please let me know, because I would really love to try them. But yeah, those are the materials that I use. Overall, I'm super happy with this sketchbook spread. I basically achieved what I wanted with it. I mean, In a perfect world, I would have done everything like 10 times better, because I feel like when you're an artist, you're never happy 100% with what you've done. But considering the last time I drew dormice, they looked really like alien. I'm super proud of how they've turned out. I think their little faces are just so cute, and I just really wanted to express that in my style, and I think I did an alright job. I don't think I did the best job in the entire world, but I did an alright job. And this style of lettering is really, really cute, and I do think it goes with my style quite well, particularly this sort of more simplistic style. So yeah, overall super happy with it. I mean, pretty lucky, because you don't know how many times I sit down in this sketchbook and I'm like, I'm gonna make some great drawings today, and they just don't work, and I feel very sad. This one worked out really, really nicely, which is handy because I was filming it, and I don't like anyone who has an art YouTube, you must feel me here, because it's whenever you sit down to record something, inevitably it's not as good as you want it to be. But if you sit down and just draw without the camera, it's like, I don't know, that camera being on you, even if you are not really thinking about the camera being on you, it is like the worst stage fright ever. But thanks to the YouTube gods, this page actually worked out really, really well, so I'm very happy with it. I think the only thing that I wish is when I was buying my new pencils, I didn't get a darker yellow, or like I don't have any browns at all. And I think that instead of lining everything with this magenta colour, it might have actually been really cute to line the dormice. I nearly said hamster then, because they kind of look like hamsters, but they're definitely not hamsters. It would have been really cute to line the dormice with like a really sort of light brown rather than this magenta, and then line everything else in like a dark colour, so like either a dark pink for the flower or a dark green for the leaves. I think that would have looked quite cute, but as it is, I do still really like it, and I'm really happy with it. So maybe next time I do an art shop order, I need to think about getting a brown pencil. I'm so cool. I'm like, I need a brown pencil. Oh gosh. So we're coming to pretty much the end now, and this is a finished thing. I hope you like it. Like I said, I'm very happy with it. Thank you so much for watching this video. Give a like, give a comment with a mouse emoji, and subscribe if you haven't already. Thank you so much again for watching. Take care of yourself, drink your water, wear your mask over your nose, and I'll see you in the next video. Okay,